Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. So while I'm cooking, I'm just going ahead and talk to y'all because I'm trying to like kill two birds with one stone and it's midterm week, so I'm trying to be back consistent with my vlog, my posting, and doing my ministry and stuff like that, and my business and whatnot. So y'all, I'm making dinner, which is kind of like for me to be eating dinner, but I'm gonna get back on because oh, no, no. So, um, in the midst of me making dinner, well, I was like, let me just go ahead and do. Cause this week, every week I do something. Every week I do something new. I post something every week, every Monday, whether it's my YouTube or my podcast. And the first Monday of this week was, I believe, my podcast. And then the second one, which by the way, my podcast is back, if you don't know. And the second one was, hold on, let me drain this real quick. The second week was my YouTube video of part one of my family vacation that I went on with my family. So for this week, it is my Christian rant of the week. And I haven't done these in like a really long time. And not because I got bored with it or anything like that, but I feel like when you're going through something, right? I am not a hypocrite when it comes to my walk with God. Like, remember I always tell y'all, it's a relationship for me, it's not a religion for me, right? So when I feel like, not that like God didn't give me anything to say or I didn't have anything I can advise or anything like that, but I just feel like for me, I like to just, what's the word? I just wanted to be comfortable again, and I got to a place where it wasn't that I was uncomfortable, but I just needed to get my relationship with God back in order, and which leads me into today's topic of what we're talking about. So for today's topic, we're gonna discuss how we fall off. Our relationship with God falls off, and it's okay. It's okay to fall down as long as you get back up. You fall down, you can still get back up. And I am in the getting back up stage where I've fallen off from my relationship with God. I've fallen off my walk with God. I've fallen off on just my devotional, my date nights and stuff like that. And until I get back to like where I used to, beyond where I used to be, I'm not gonna post my date nights, but because I still want it to be, I want it to be between me and God for right now, and then I'll come back to like posting it. So, so for this video, what I'm going to talk about, because I feel like I'm kind of being long-winded or whatever, we're going to talk about is when you fall off in the recovery phase, and like it's not really spoke about in church about the recovery phase because it's just always I thought I was gonna help, but it doesn't look like it. It's just always okay. It's just always talked about like, oh, you get close to God. Oh, okay. You get close to God, and it's just that you just maintain the closeness with God, and it's not that easy. And I've learned over the weekend from my church sisters that it's okay to not be churchy. It's okay to not be the typical Christian, because what God had taught me this weekend was that Christians, because I don't identify myself as a Christian. I identify because my relationship with God is not a religion. To be a believer of God and to be a follower of God, is it does not have a look to it. Like, you cannot look at your neighbor and think that yours is gonna look like that. You cannot look at anybody else walk and think yours is gonna look like that. So for me, um, I am learning to just live in the moment and stop putting so much pressure on myself, because I tend to think I'm gonna get over things overnight. And the same way it didn't take overnight for me to get to where I'm at, the same way it's not gonna take overnight for me to be out of the place that I'm in. Right? So I just want to come on here and encourage you guys that, like, no matter what it looks like, no matter what you feel like or you think, God does not hate you. He does not despise you. He loves you, and He's seen all of this before. Whatever it is that you're going through, or whatever you're going to go through, He's seen all of it before even creating you, before even giving you that vision, before even giving you a purpose, before even giving you a calling. You feel me? Now, that is not an excuse to, like, stay stagnant or stay in the place that you're in, but it is to help you understand that through it all, there's a purpose for it. Now, what I've learned is, like, pain is a choice. Certain lessons and certain pains that we go through in life is not that it was ordained for us, but it's because we chose to go through it. Like what I'm going through right now, it's not that it was ordained for me, but it's because I was disobedient, and I have to go through it to learn from it, to not be back here again. Now, what does that mean? It means, like, so when something comes up, when the enemy brings up something your way, God gives you warning, like, hey, you don't want to do that, you don't want to go down that road, or this is not cohesive to where I have you going. This is not, you don't want to taste that, because if you taste that, it's going to be hard to get out of it. But we as humans, this is where our freedom of choice come in. We choose to either listen to God or to go with our desires. And that's what I've learned, that, like, although my desire for God and my desire to please God is there, I also have to reaffirm myself to hold myself accountable for the decisions that I make and the choices that I choose. And even though God is going to help me out of it, and God is always going to be there to protect me, it is still up to me to either divert the situation so I don't have to go through it, or go through it and have to deal with the consequences. Now, God is not going to make decisions for you. That's not the kind of God that He's not kind of Father He is. He is a loving Father. He cares for you. He's always going to have your back. He's always going to be there for you, as long as you have a desire in your heart. Because one thing about it is, God definitely knows our hearts, and He knows where your heart lies. Now, as long as you have a desire to please Him, and you have a desire, a yearning for Him, He has opportunity to make it right. If your desire for Him is not there, and it's no longer there, and your desires do not align with the desires that He has for you, then that's where there is a whole kabako. If that makes sense. So I say all this just to say that be careful of your decisions. Be mindful of who you let around you, what comes out your mouth, what you do. Be careful and listen, because disobedience does have a consequence. And because of my disobedience, I am in a territory I'm not supposed to be in. Now, that does not mean that I'm not going to overcome it, because, my God already gave me, He already told me that I'm an overcomer. I'm going to win. And at the end of the day, I am going to be a conqueror. But even though I know the ending, God never gives me, He never gives you the, what's the thing? He gives you the ending of what you're going to look like, but He never gives you what you're going to look like in the moment. And even though this doesn't look like what I thought I was going to be in the moment, it doesn't look like where I thought I was going to be, mind you, it is better than what I've ever thought I would be. But at the end of the day, disobedience still has consequence. And his law, just because he loves us, does not mean he cannot go outside of his law because of love. And if that was the case, then God hates sin. So he wouldn't have sent Jesus Christ if he was able to go outside of his law to uh to prevent us from going through hurt. So yeah, so just be mindful of your decisions, be mindful of what you do, and know that like in the midst of it all, keep your heart pure and keep your desire for God there, and keep chasing after God, even when you don't know who you have become, or you don't know where you're at. Just keep chasing after God, and sooner than later, I know for a fact that I'm gonna be back where I used to be, even better than where I used to be. I know that, and what I've learned also this weekend is that like I'm going to fall off. Because for some reason, I always thought like once I get to a pitiable moment with God, I'm gonna stay there. And what I forget is that I'm human. Like, I'm so much harder on myself than God is. And he knows that I'm gonna fall off. He knows my weaknesses. He knows my flaws. He knows my sin. He knows exactly what I'm gonna do before I even know what I'm gonna do. He knows the decisions that I'm going to make before I even knew what I was gonna choose to do. So it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to fall, just as long as I get back up and I know that hey, I have a purpose here. Hey, I'm supposed to be right here. I'm at some place where I'm not supposed to be. Let me get back to where the last place that I was at, and that's what I'm doing now. My recovery looks like going back to the last place that you knew that God specifically told you to be. And for me, that is dating God again, like having conversations with God again. Like today, when I got out of the shower, I literally just sat on my bed and just talked to God, and it felt so refreshing, and it felt so amazing and so fulfilling. Like that's my last place that I remember specifically hearing from God was during me dating Him and me getting closer to Him. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. And the next podcast that's coming out is going to be talking about stuff just like this, about falling and getting back up, and just and my parents are going to be on it, my mom and dad. So just stay tuned. It's going to come out the first Monday of next month, and it's going to be amazing. And for the weird, for like not weird, but it's so funny that like I recorded that podcast months ago, and even like the other podcast that came out on the first Monday of this month, I recorded that podcast months ago, and it's still speaking to me to this day. It's still relevant in my life right now. So yeah, so come along with me on this journey of recovery, and I'm going to be as blunt and transparent as I can be, and help you so you can see what it looks like to truly be to be like a believer of God, a child of God, and to understand that like He does not expect us to be perfect. He does not expect you to not fall, or like look at Jesus. Even He had doubts, and even though He was perfect man, He was a perfect being made in human form. He even experienced some of the things that we go through with like ridicule and being rejected, and even like, and He didn't even do nothing to deserve it. So imagine us, put yourself in like His shoes and go through all of that, and know that you have not done nothing to deserve this. You're only here to help the people who are ridiculing you, and you still gotta swallow it and keep pushing and keep it moving. That right there in itself is just like, it's mind blowing, because I can't even imagine. I can't. Dying for somebody who don't even care for me, dying for somebody who do not appreciate me, dying. Like, I can't even imagine. But I will say that there are times where we do die. With like, in relationships with our hearts. Like, we'll give up parts of ourselves just to make fight somebody else's need, or forget our needs just to make somebody else happy. And we're gonna talk about that too, because that's all a part of recovery. So yeah, I hope that this video did help you understand something and help you see that like the walk is our walk with God, our relationship with God is not a one way. It looks like a specific way or it looks like that way. It's just your walk with God, and it is okay to fall off, just as long as you get back up. And recovery is it's a part of everybody's walk with God, and it is okay. Don't be hard on yourself. God still loves you. He is still there for you. Just the same way it took time for you to get to where you're at, it's going to take time for you to get out of it. So just have grace with yourself. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget my other social medias, my YouTube channel, my podcast, Women of War, my YouTube channel, Beautifully Jasmine, and yeah, I will see y'all in another video. Love y'all.